Yehuda Berg es un maestro de Kabbalah, considerado como una de las autoridades más importantes del mundo en esta sabiduría antigua.
You get me in the room with anyone, I'll spend 15 minutes and I'll explain to them why, first of all, there's no conflict between religion and Kabbalah. But even more, Kabbalah could help enhance our religious belief.
Yehuda Berg vive viajando en todo el mundo, compartiendo su conocimiento, su guía, habla con gente líder en el mundo, algunos que no se puede decir porque ellos buscan conocimiento, buscan a entender, pero su situación política no les permite hacerlo expuestamente.
Rabino ordenado, maestro, autor exitoso y codirector del Centro de Kabbalah, logró que los conocimientos y las herramientas de la Kabbalah sean accesibles para el público y las personas de todo el mundo.
Es una persona de este linaje de la Kabbalah que toda su vida está dedicada totalmente a ayudar a la humanidad, a mejorar las condiciones y realmente viviendo, sintiendo todo el dolor que está en el mundo.
Yehuda escribe libros de gran éxito editorial a nivel internacional, da charlas y enseña tanto a instructores como a estudiantes de la Kabbalah.
Every single decision that we make has an effect. Just like every single seed that we put in the ground eventually becomes a tree.
Además, asesora de forma regular a líderes empresariales y a celebridades como Ashton Kutcher, Demi Moore, Zac Efron, Paulina Rubio, Nicole Richie y Madonna, entre otros. Yehuda es un maestro de estos tiempos que echó mano de herramientas como Internet, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube y MySpace para compartir sus conocimientos y difundir su mensaje de cambio a todo aquel que esté presto a recibirlo. Con la salida de su último libro, El poder de cambiarlo todo, Yehuda Berg comenzó una extensa gira internacional para difundir el significado de su obra. En sus conferencias, el maestro de Kabbalah introduce a la audiencia en los conceptos de conciencia y responsabilidad y de cómo, haciéndose verdaderamente de estos, pueden convertirse en agentes activos de los cambios globales y personales.
We are with the Rabbi Yehuda Berg from Kabbalah Center from Los Angeles. Good morning, Rabbi.
Good morning.
Okay, let me ask you, what is the Kabbalah?
Well, Kabbalah for me, Kabbalah throughout the generations is called Chokhmat HaEmet, or the wisdom of truth. When I was growing up, I was a regular kid. My father was a Kabbalist, but I didn't just go in the Kabbalistic path. And at 17, 18, he started teaching me, and I found my truth. And so for me, not the regular general explanation, but for me, I found Kabbalah as the wisdom of truth, the path to truth. The traditional answer to what is Kabbalah is mysticism. It's a system of mysticism that's been around for 4,000 years that has direct implications to our daily life.
If it is so ancient, 4,000 years before, and it was restricted for men, Jewish men over 40 years. How is that Kabbalah now is open for all the world?
So the progression was like this. In the 13th century, there was the Christian Kabbalists. Christians started studying Kabbalah in the 13th century. Christians. But it was still men, only men. So non-Jews started, Christians started, Muslims started in the 13th century. In the 20th century, Rav Ashlag, who's my father's teacher's teacher, he said that it's time for everyone to study. Men, women, children from the age of 6 are now not only can, but should be studying the secrets of Kabbalah.
And this wasn't controversial for all the conservative rabbis, the Jewish rabbis?
I mean, it was very, at the beginning,
it was revolutionary for you.
Big revolutionary. Big revolution. Started with Rav Ashlag, and they would physically harm him, and then his students, and then my parents also went through physical hardship because of this kind of teaching Kabbalah to everyone. But you look today, there isn't a place you won't find Kabbalah classes. You know, at yoga places, at synagogues, even at churches. I've seen churches with Kabbalah classes. It's everywhere. everyone's studying Kabbalah.
El Kabbalah es una sabiduría, es un sistema que explica la creación, la vida y todos los porqués, por qué estamos acá en este mundo, por qué las cosas son así, por qué pasan cosas, por qué hay sufrimiento, por qué uno sí y otro no. Kabbalah es una sabiduría que viene a contestar a todos los porqués y las inquietudes de la creación, de la vida y de la humanidad.
How many Kabbalah centers do you have around the world?
We have around 50 locations around the world, and some of them are bigger, some of them smaller. Our two biggest that we've started lately are one in Sao Paulo, Brazil, and one in Moscow in Russia. Those are the two really taking off lately. I mean, we've always had the ones in New York and LA and different places, but the ones that are taking off lately that we started just recently, Sao Paulo, Brazil, and Moscow in Russia.
El Centro de Kabbalah Internacional es en realidad una continuidad de un linaje de cabalistas que antiguamente pasaron este conocimiento de uno a otro, de maestro a alumno. Hoy en día, según los cabalistas, es el momento para abrir este conocimiento a todo el mundo.
In these times of chaos, what tools the wisdom of the Kabbalah can give to us to manage our life, the day by day?
The first tool the Kabbalah says, when things happen, you have a choice. You could be a victim and say, God, why do you do this to me? God, why me? Why me? Why? Or leave the victim consciousness on the side and ask yourself, what can I do about it? And unfortunately, without help, we usually go to the victim side. Oh, my mom's such a terrible person, or this, I won't believe what happened to me today. Nothing happens to us. Yes, we go during the day, certain things happen, but it's not to us because there's a conspiracy. But we have to actually go and figure out, okay, it's here, it's happened, now what? Are you gonna talk about how it happened to you for the next 20 years, or are you gonna do something about it?
So it's like we have to be responsible for our destiny. We have in our hands our destiny. We can change our destiny.
We could change. And everything that comes into our movie is there for a reason. If something came into my movie, to my life, it's there for a reason. Sometimes it's there to teach me something. Sometimes it's there so I could overcome it. And sometimes it's there just to remind me certain things. But every single part of my life that's there, it's there for a reason.
And you see, when people have like times of crisis, personal times of crisis, like divorce, illness, death, loneliness, poverty, they try to find answers, Kabbalah, meditation, many things. So how can help the Kabbalah to these people that are crossing a very, very tough and difficult time?
Some people go to these other teachings so they don't have to take responsibility. Just be busy with something. I hope we're talking about the people who actually want answers to why. I want to know why. What can I do? And anything that could give people responsibility, taking responsibility for what happened, learning for the future not to make the same mistakes. Any kind of person like that, you could use any system. But if that is what they're going to, and in Kabbalah, you could use the lessons of Kabbalah to take responsibility and to make sure those mistakes don't happen again.
I heard many times in Kabbalah that the light that fulfill the vessel. What this means?
So, we know that there's energy in the world. It's energy. You walk into a place, you feel good. Sometimes you feel bad. You walk into someone's house and there's good energy or a good vibe or a bad vibe. You go in a restaurant and you sit down, I don't like, I'll go to the next chair. I mean, as human beings, we're very susceptible for energy. For that energy to be manifested, it needs to be in something. Just like if you have water, you put a glass, you fill the glass, now that glass has water. Now you could take what was in the bottle and you make it tangible for me to use. For us to be able to harness the energy that's around us, we need vessels. And sometimes the human body is the vessel. Sometimes somebody else is the vessel. A question could be because anything that makes the energy tangible. You know, in a power plant, they're creating a lot of energy, but you can't take your toaster and plug it in. You have to make it in a way where it could be used. And energy that eventually comes into a person is the light coming into the vessel, which is us.
Hoy en día es fácil, gracias al avance de la tecnología y la ciencia, que ya entienden que todo es energía. Todo es energía. Entonces ahora es mucho más fácil entender que también los átomos que son energía, estamos rodeados, estamos hechos de energía y en realidad la vida es manejar energía. Hay energías positivas, hay energías negativas. Entonces, ¿cómo uno puede estar conectado más tiempo con energía positiva? Muchas veces uno siente como que le va bien, está fluyendo, le resulta, le sale, y otras veces siente estancado, bloqueado. Todo esto tiene que ver con energías.
What is the tree of life?
The tree of life, according to Kabbalah, is the way the system, the way the universe was created. The way the light goes from the top all the way down. Just like, you know, when there's you take the PowerPoint analogy, it goes from all that to being able to tap in to my toaster or to my this, that whole system of light, of the way that electric goes from the power plant to here. The way that the whole kind of way of creation, from the beginning of time all the way to our world. Because most of us believe that there's more than just this physical universe. I mean, sometimes we think it's all physical and, you know, like who could care less? Sometimes we act like that. But in truth, most of us feel that there's something deeper and more meaningful. And Kabbalah says that the tree of life is the way the universe was created. The spiritual universe first, and then the physical universe.
El árbol de la vida es también cómo uno puede ascender en estos niveles a conectar con esta energía de vida, energía de bendiciones, paz interior, que en realidad en la Kabbalah llamamos, en una palabra que incluye todo, la luz. El libro del Zohar es el manual de la Kabbalah. Concentra todo el conocimiento cabalístico, las reglas de la Kabbalah, como la Kabbalah explica la realidad, la vida, en manera muy concentrada.
And in the Kabbalah Center, you say that if you take the book of the Zohar and you scan his words, it makes you to feel with why? Why only scanning some words? It's like this.
Kabbalists throughout the generations, this is not something that's developed today. Thousands of generations, Kabbalists say, just have specific books in the house. You know, Christians won't go without a Bible in the house. Muslims won't go without a Quran in the house. Kabbalists, make sure that there's a Zohar in the house. There's always the books of the Zohar in the house. Now, you want to make more of a connection? You look at the letters. You could make even more of a connection, actually read it if you can. But we always are advised to make the maximum connection that we can. If you could read, I read and understand, because I have that ability. But if you can't read, you scan. If you can't even do that, at least you have it in your house. There's always a question of how much you could do, and we're only asked to do our maximum. We're not asked to do things we can't do. We're asked to do our maximum. If we don't read the words, then connect to the words.
Ese es en realidad el secreto más profundo del Zohar, que a la persona que estudia Kabbalah, que se conecta con el Zohar y el conocimiento de la Kabbalah que está dentro del Zohar, le permite como una conexión con la energía positiva de la luz, como explicamos antes.
But if the Zohar has all the knowledge of the Torah, can you read or understand the Zohar if you don't have the knowledge of the Torah first?
Can I? I can, but I've been studying for a long time. Can you connect to the Zohar without having all the knowledge? Yes, you could connect. Could you understand? No, you need more teachings to really understand the Zohar. But you pick up your cell phone and you call. You don't know how it was made. You don't know about the pieces. All you know is you plug some numbers and you use it. We use technology that we don't know how to make it. Just like teachings. We could use the teaching without knowing where it comes from, not knowing everything about it. So as a user, you could use the Zohar without having all the knowledge. But if you want to have the knowledge of the Zohar, then it requires a lot of study to really understand the Zohar.
For example, Madonna, Demi Moore, and many famous that came to the Kabbalah help to spread all over the world the Kabbalah?
I mean, obviously, when someone famous, it goes with them. Unfortunately, it's a double-edged sword sometimes, because people don't take it so seriously. Unfortunately, or fortunately, that's also not real anymore, because, Madonna's done 12 years. Say what you want about her. She's been taking this seriously and studied 8 years. Ashton studied for 8 years. It's not one of those things they did and they forgot about. They've actually taken it into their life and they're using it on a daily basis.
Yes, Madonna last year came to Argentina and she didn't want to give a concert Friday because it was Shabbat and she was keeping the Shabbat.
So they're using the tools of Kabbalah in their life.
Porque famosos son seres humanos igual como los demás y tienen búsquedas y inquietudes y buscan mejorar su vida. El hecho que uno es muy exitoso en algo no significa que es feliz y completo en el otro. Solo natural que el hecho que celebridades estudian Kabbalah ayuda a difundir esto, porque obviamente están más a la vista de otras personas. Es un proceso natural que pasa que para mí es muy bueno.
What does the red string means?
For me, there's a whole story about protection, but for me, I look at the red string, and at times when I want to get angry, times when I want to react,
it's a reminder.
It reminds me, hey, you're teaching Kabbalah, tranquilo, relax.
And what about the ego that I heard that in Kabbalah it's
Yes, unfortunately, we all have one. Unfortunately, sometimes it brings us down.
It's like an enemy against us.
Yes. No matter how much we want to succeed, he tries to make it all about us. And to really succeed in this world, we have to also be sharing to others. And the ego is the number one enemy that we have. Because if we reach the top, we make it about us. And if whatever we try to do, even when we overcome, he comes in. And it just, for me, it's a constant war. It's a constant war against the ego. Even when we've beaten him, he could wake up tomorrow and he's a new enemy.